Bonjour les frères et sœurs.
This week we're celebrating 50 years of hip-hop. We recorded 3 special shows in New York, the birthplace of the culture, and today we're in Paris because France is the second largest hip-hop market in the world after the United States.
Du Tipex, du papier à carreaux, hop, un texte, et puis c'est parti.
Parfois, la vie ressemble à une balle perdue.
En direct des familles.
La vie est belle, le destin s'en écarte. Personne ne joue avec les mêmes cartes.
Poulet sur les ondes, alors ouais, on déconne, ouais, on étonne, non, non. C'est pas l'école qui nous a dicté nos codes, non, non. Génération, non, non. Alors ouais, on déconne, ouais, on étonne, non, non. C'est pas l'école.
Hip-hop expert and author Olivier Cachin is here to talk about the history of French hip-hop. Hello.
Hello, Evie.
Thank you so much for being here. Now, American hip-hop hadn't even reached the mainstream when it struck a chord with young people in the French suburbs. Why do they feel such affinity with this music that came out of black ghettos in New York?
It's like rock and roll. There's something in the attitude, in the clothes, in the everything that goes with the music that says to these people, that's my music, that's my jam, this one is for me. They were devoted to the idea of hip-hop and everything that goes with it, you know, the utopia, peace, love, unity, and having fun, the music, the beats, and later on, the idea of making it in French, but that came a bit later on.
So how was hip-hop perceived in the early days in France?
It was at best despised by major medias who said, what is this? I mean, they can't even sing. It's not music, you know, it's people playing records and talking on it. It's not gonna last, and we don't want it. I mean, we don't want these people, you know, meaning, you know, they are young, they are black, they are Arabs, they come from the suburbs. I mean, you know, we don't want this.
So who were the early French pioneers of rap music, of hip-hop?
The 2 main ones are DJ Dynasty, who's a guy who used to have the free parties at La Chapelle, you know, which are legendary, even though they lasted for only a couple of months. But that was the birth of the French hip-hop.
Girls, let's rock that.
And there's also Sydney, of course, who was the first guy to have a TV show about hip-hop called HIP. And that was even before MTV Rap. In the whole world, the first TV show was in France.
Yeah, it's quite surprising. And among the pioneers is I Am, the legendary Marseille rappers. Jonathan Walsh has been speaking to one of the lead vocalists, Akhenaton.
Yeah. Mes chaussures brillent, hop, dont je brille, je te bousille, tu te rhabilles et moi je danse le mia. Comme les voitures.
Ce que je voulais dire, c'est que je suis persuadé que dans 10 ans, on ne parlera plus du rap.
Loupé. Salut,
Hi, I'm Akhenaton from the group I Am. I'm on France 24 to mark 50 years of hip-hop culture.
De la culture hip-hop. La culture hip-hop, c'est un art de vivre. Quand on est
Hip-hop culture is a way of life.
tombé dans cette culture-là,
When you find yourself in this culture, you become hip-hop, you live hip-hop, you think hip-hop. Everything comes back to it.
mais c'est pas que la musique.
So for I Am, hip-hop is the music, but it's also graphic art, dance and cooking. Food is a huge part of our sound composition.
Nous, on est aussi
We're as much fans of composers of hip-hop and composers of soul and classical music as we are of great chefs.
que de grands cuisiniers, de grandes cuisinières. On venait pas
We didn't come from the elites or the ruling classes. We wanted to have our place and to live through our art. We were inspired by photographs from the March on Washington and the I Am a Man slogans worn by the protesters. That was the inspiration for the group's name.
C'est ça qui nous a inspiré le nom du groupe. Les liens d'I Am et New
I
York
Am has
sont
very
très
strong
serrés. En
ties with
fait,
New York.
j'ai
A lot of my family are New
partie de ma
Yorkers,
famille qui est new-yorkaise.
so I was lucky to be able to go there very early on. And thanks to all our trips between 1984 and 1991, I Am is a French rap group with a lot of American and specifically New York influences. It's in our DNA.
États-unienne, enfin plutôt new-yorkaise dans l'ADN.
Dès le départ, faut que tu comprennes. Understand that red man got a gun and when I cock it back, fire! Somebody roll up or we can throw up drinks until we throw up. Hey yo, right off the back, I want y'all to know. Que cette équipe sous les têtes, y'a le fire dans les shows.
Nous, on avait une spécificité chez I Am, c'est qu'on a très tôt
What made
rappé
I
sur
Am's
des
different was that from very early on,
arabes,
we rapped over Arab, African and Asian music. Later on, Timbaland did that in American music and popularized it even more. But we did it first.
C'est gentil, c'est pas.
From 1989, you can hear it in the first track we released.
Qui a été fait sous le nom du groupe IAM, c'est Pharaon revient.
Je rêve d'avoir ce livre ouvert sous mes yeux, en 3 langues différentes, latin, arabe et hébreu. Il contient le savoir ultime et la sagesse infime.
Ce morceau-là.
We made that track at the time with a sample of Mohammed Abdel Wahab.
Je suis un gardien de l'osmose. Dans terre à terre, je me reconnais pas. À moitié déjà rejoint le cosmos. Tu rêves de chevaucher des pétasses. Moi, je rêve de chevaucher Pégase. On n'a pas les mêmes vues. Tu veux des vues. Quand je t'ai vu, j'ai mis les gaz. Me concernant, choisis l'ordre. Dangereux, vulnérable. On balance tous au bout d'une corde. On se retrouvera à nos funérailles.
The Marseille group I Am were massive. And why were they so important, do you think?
Well, funny story, I discovered the existence of I Am when I was just starting the TV show that I did for 3.5 years called Rap Line. And we get a cassette at the office saying, I Am the best French rap group. And at the time, Marseille didn't exist, you know. And I'm looking at that and say, Marseille, they're so funny. And I listen to it and go, yes, it's actually true. The first album, De la Planète Mars, was a revelation to most because, you know, when it started, it was mostly Paris and the suburbs. And suddenly came this group out of, well, not nowhere, but Mars, actually. And they were actually better than NTM, who were like, not their arch enemies, but the, you know, their
rivals. Did you have a preference between the two?
If you speak about concert, NTM on top.
Seulement concernés lorsque leurs proches se font assassiner. Vous êtes encore là?
But if you speak about longevity, about the number of albums, about the style, then maybe I Am is a bit on top. But actually, they are the two sides of a coin because, you know, you can't have one without the other.
It's so interesting as well to look back at old footage of these groups. Take a listen to some archive interviews with Cool Shen and Joey Starr in the early days of NTM in the 90s.
Et NTM, ça veut dire quoi?
Ça veut dire nique ta mère.
Jusqu'à maintenant, enfin, c'est la seule façon qu'on a trouvé de se faire remarquer. Et en plus, je veux dire, c'est une expression qu'on utilise tous les jours qui peut être l'équivalent de zut ou merde. Bon, y a quand même des gens qui le prennent au premier degré, c'est regrettable. On s'amuse productivement, quoi, en étant productif. Je pense pas que ça se disait productivement.
Non, mais
c'est pas grave. Faudra au montage. On s'amuse tout en étant productif.
C'est clair. T'as le toucher nique ta mère, donc à l'endroit comme à l'envers, c'est clair. J'ai le toucher nique ta mère sur les coups.
Je pense pas que le travail du rappeur, c'est de faire de la politique, parce que la politique, c'est aussi amener des solutions, c'est résoudre des problèmes. Un rappeur, il résout pas de problème, il est là pour constater et dire ce qu'il a à dire, puisqu'il a un œil bien placé.
Je voulais-tu que ton fils apprenne dans la rue quelle vertu croyais-tu qu'on y enseigne? T'as pas vraiment ça pue dehors, mais comment ça sent la mort? Quand tu respires ça mec t'es comme morné, tu finis borné à force de tourner.
So Olivier, we've heard from some of the big male rappers. Tell us about some of the women, because there were female rappers, weren't there?
The biggest one, of course, is Diams, who's the one who defeated the curse that was around female rap, because until Diams, no female rapper achieved a reasonable commercial success. She sold 1.5 million albums with Dans ma bulle, which was a big success, with Génération Non, which was an anthem. And of course, the big one, the big girl rapper at the moment is Kenny Arcana, who's an amazing, very emotional rapper. She comes from Marseille. She did an incredible first album called Entre Ciment et Belle Étoile. To me, Kenny Arcana is on the top 5 of the French rappers of all time.
Olivier, it's 50 years since hip-hop began in New York, a little bit less since French hip-hop began. How would you define French hip-hop, and how is it different to US hip-hop?
No, French rap really started professionally in early 1990. For 10, a little bit more, it was a very literary style in the sense that it was storytelling, something that American rap dropped fairly early. You know, in France, it was really a music that was here to to denounce, to say what was wrong in society, to speak about racism, about discrimination. Now it's very different. Now it's more like entertainment, sometimes dance music. You can hear French rap in the clubs, in the parties.
When was the moment, do you think, when it became mainstream?
Well, one of the reasons that made rap mainstream was that first there was a new generation of people who said, we don't want to hear about these things about, racism, police brutality. We want to have fun. We want to dance. We want to go to clubs. We want to have nice clothes, and we want to have lyrics that maybe are not so deep, and so heavy. Plus, autotune enabled rappers to sing.
Okay, well, one massively successful French rapper who started in 2000 with the duo Lunatic is Buba. As a solo artist, Buba has become one of the most downloaded artists in French history with more than 10 million albums sold. Here he is on France 24's Légende Urbaine show, talking about staying relevant.
Déjà, je suis plus fort qu'eux.
Ouais, belle humilité, on adore. Et ben voilà.
Non, j'ai toujours aimé la musique, j'ai toujours respecté la musique, j'ai toujours respecté ma musique, j'ai toujours parlé de la vie en général, des gens, de la société, donc j'ai toujours été dans l'actualité.
Récompensé comme un tirailleur, ceux qui les donnent s'en réclament pas. On m'a toujours dit d'aller voir ailleurs, je suis revenu vainqueur à chaque fois. Récompensé comme un tirailleur, ceux qui les donnent s'en réclament pas.
Et vu que j'aime la musique, je suis très pointilleux sur les instrus, la mélodie, etc. Je pense que j'ai toujours su m'adapter. Pareil, je suis passé du rap normal à l'autotune quand c'est arrivé. C'est ça qui fait que je suis encore là, je pense.
We heard there from Buba, one of the big stars, still very relevant today. Who are the new up-and-coming people we should be looking out for in French rap?
The people like Nekfeu, Oxmo Puccino, who started about 25 years ago, but who's still relevant.
Tu fais de l'oseille, on verra. J'ai 2 fois l'âge de mon premier opéra.
And you have dozens of other artists who are more into, like I said, entertainment. I mean, now it's like you're not obliged to denounce, to do rap music. You can just, like Jules in Marseille, do funny lyrics and house-type beats, and it works. And it's French rap of the 21st century. But there's also Vald, V-A-L-D, who's with Désaccordé, who had one of the biggest French videos in terms of views on YouTube. I think it's like 50, 60 million, something like that. And he's at the same time funny, witty, and with substance also. So I would say that Vald is one of the best.
Olivier Cachin, thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us here on France 24. It's been a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
We'll leave you now with a new rising voice of French rap. This is Désaccordé by Vald. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
NQNT comme Péritel, Sullivan rap trop spirituel. Je ne défie plus everyday, ça me rend l'esprit trop étriqué. Niquez vos mères, je vais me délivrer. Tout cette oseille, je l'ai mérité. J'ai disque d'or, j'ai pédigré. Ta gueule morte est périmée.